Hello again. Before we get into the footage for today, I have to show you how cute our little kitty can be. Sometimes she just likes to show off, and she's generally tending to be my coworker companion. This particular image was at, I don't know, about 8 o'clock. I had taken a long lunch and was making up time, and this was her way of telling me it was bedtime. Sometimes she likes to interrupt my workflow, and apparently if I leave the tractor sitting there, she will decide that she belongs in the driver's seat. And no, this was not staged at all. So, on to the footage for today. We started the day out. There's a place where, well, backing up, we have a lot of mills around us, commercial mills. I think the last time I counted there was 7 commercial mills within 5 or so miles of us. And they have this, there's one of the trucking companies around here comes and gathers wood chips, and they dump them in this big area if they have too much in a truckload. And then anybody who wants to can come and get wood chips for free. The GoPro camera cut out, so I lost the footage of us actually loading the trailer, unfortunately, but I at least got the end product. But so what they do is they'll go to the mill, pick up either wood chips or sawdust or whatever, and then they come back to their facility and they weigh in, and if they have too much in their truck, then they just come out to the corner of their lot and they dump it. And like I said, it's open to anybody if you want wood chips and are willing to load them up. I even asked them one time if they are okay if, like, we were to bring a tractor and just scoop up a bunch, and he said they would love that, because when people use a tractor, it means they actually get deeper down into the wood chips. So there's, like, we're driving on, I don't know, 6 or 8, maybe 10 or 12 even inches of wood chips. So that's weird. I never noticed Charlie up on the trailer there when we were actually doing that. But anyway, so we're taking advantage of that and using them to sort of fill in some of the areas where it stays wet. And that's gonna be one of the challenges here in front of the mill. Is I've got a lot of wet stuff, and now the challenge is I don't have anywhere to turn around, so I've got to try and back out. I asked Emily to come and grab the camera for me and follow me, because this is not an easy path to back out, but it worked out pretty well for the most part. I didn't run off the road, push the trailer into the ditch, get jackknifed, but that's okay. Anyway, so on to the footage of milling. Actually, I gotta spread that wood chip around first. So we'll grab the tractor. I've gotta smooth some of the dirt around, and then just kind of spread wood chips everywhere and sort of level it out, and just drive around and pack them down. We'll probably get, I don't know, at least a couple more loads, and just do the same thing and just kind of build this area up so the water's no longer pooling in this area. The drier that it gets, the firmer it gets, and the more I can actually do. But I decided that was sufficient for today because I knew it was still muddy under there. So I'm on my way over to go put the forks back on the tractor, and then we'll come back over, and we've got the last sections of that giant therefor still sitting on the mill, and they're just kind of stacked up and covered with some scrap sheet metal, roofing sheet metal. And there we go. So there's the slabs, I guess, the cants that I had finished at in one of the previous videos, and then I took all the slabs and stacked them off back on top so that it would all be reasonably dry, since we had a few days of rain. I thought it was actually kind of funny. One of the guys in the Facebook Pacific Northwest Woodland Mills group was watching one of the last videos with, I guess, with his girlfriend, and when she saw that Emily was out there helping, her comment to this guy was apparently that Emily must have just been there to help keep everything clean while I was milling. And then, like 2 seconds later, I had mentioned in the video that she was actually out there to help turn the log when I got to that point, and he thought that was funny and ironic. And you know, that's one of the awesome things about Emily, and one of the many reasons that I actually love her, is that she is as much a part of this whole process as I am. We have different skills and talents, so the work tends to be slightly different, but she's out there working with me whenever she can and whenever she doesn't have other projects, and she's even run the mill a couple times. I haven't let her work on the Alaskan mill before, but so what I was showing you there, that little red thing, is called a Gustav guard, and I'll get more into that in a minute. Technically, I guess I have to declare that this isn't a sponsored video per se, but I did. The guy that makes these is a friend through this Facebook Pacific Northwest group, and we've met a couple of times, and he designed this because the blade guard that's on the mill is not really that great. It's definitely leaves a little bit to be desired, because it is easy to miss and then defeats its own purpose, so you end up running the blade into the log stops. And so he actually came up with that design, but we'll get more into that a little later in the video. I'd actually shared a picture that I almost ran into the blade stop, and his response was that he wanted me to try it and see what I thought. So we'll get to that in a minute. But yeah, Emily's pretty awesome, and comes out and helps with all kinds of different stuff. And she's helped dig ditches. She's helped level dirt and spread gravel and hold beams and put up walls. And there's not anything so far that she has not done, except the Alaskan mill. And the only reason she hasn't done that is because that's a pretty crappy way to mill. I mean, it does its purpose, it has its place, but the whole reason we got the Alaskan mill was just to get us by until we could afford to actually get the bandsaw mill. So that's where it's at. So what I'm doing now is just going through, and you can see there's 5 cants from this log that are left, and I'm just taking off a 2-inch slab off of each piece. I end up with 1 pass of the mill. I end up with 2 boards that are 2 by 10-ish, and then 3 boards that are 2 by 6. And then I'll take them and stack them off to the side. And you can tell I'm having to push the mill a little bit. I'm trying to make sure I push slowly enough that I'm not creating a waviness, and that's what I was just checking for there. Like I got a little bit of a divot in the end of those boards there. So I have to make sure I'm going slow and paying attention to if the blade's starting to wander up or down. But I don't really want to change the blade because, as we discussed in the last video, there are nails in this particular log, and I don't want to dull another blade. And it hasn't got to the point where I feel like I have to force the bandsaw. I just have to put more pressure than I like or than I should if it was a freshly sharpened or brand new blade. So here's where the Gustaf guard, I think it's this pass. Yep. Actually proved its worth. The challenge is if you're doing a shallow cut at the end of the log like this, it makes it so that it's actually you can't make this particular cut. And I've got some photos of why that didn't work or why what's going on here. But it actually did its job, and before you get to a point where you would run the blade into the log stop, it actually stops the bandsaw from functioning or from rolling, from moving forward. So it was actually a really good idea and a really good option. Enough so that I am actually planning to order a couple more so that I can have one on each log stop, just in case there are different heights. Now there are other ways that you can mitigate that. One of which is if you like I mentioned previously, if you mark gauges on each of the stops, then you can see exactly how high up they are. But the challenge is just that sometimes you forget, or maybe you miss a line. And so you get one that's a little higher or one that's a little lower, whatever. So any option that you can use to easily make the likelihood of hitting that log stop less is worthwhile, because you hit that log stop and that blade's toast. You might be able to sharpen it, but even then, that's just extra work and life that you don't get out of the blade. Out of the blade itself. So what I'm doing here is taking all of the slabs from the beginning, and as the pieces that you cut off to make the cant. Well, not all of the larger ones. And I started with the ones that had at least one side flat and squared, and then put those all on, since those only have to be trimmed off on the the top, the way they're set up now. And then I can work on bringing it down to cut off pieces to get myself square, and then flip those pieces over. But I didn't get the camera died before that. So this red piece, this is that Gustaf guard, and you can see that it's lower than the blade, because what it's doing is actually creating a stop for the housing of the bandsaw. And so as you move forward, it hits this housing long before the blade will ever hit that. But if you're working on a thin cut, like, or this is a 2-inch cut, but I'm cutting 2 inches off the bottom of the board, and so if it is just slightly higher. So if you're doing a 2.5-inch cut or deeper, then you wouldn't actually have to worry about this at all. But the solution that I ended up doing was to just take that and turn it sideways so that it would stop, which works actually, because once I get to this point, now I'm seeing, hey, here's where we're at. My log stop is here. Here's where the blade's going to be, and I know I'm safe to go ahead and just turn that sideways and leave it in place and continue the cut. So they actually worked really well at doing what their purpose was. I think his price on his website when I was checking was, I think it was $30 for a pair of them. So I plan, like I said, I plan on ordering a couple more so that I can put one on each of the stops when I'm doing multiple logs. So they're pretty slick. Thank you for your time today. God bless you and yours, and stay safe out there.